And welcome, Hoosier fans, to another victorious episode of the Assembly Call post-game show where your Indiana Hoosiers won Game 2 of their trip to the Bahamas by the score of 64-53 over Mega Basket in a game that was a little bit of a grind, but a lot of good things in both games to talk about. And we are excited to have our General Chad Schwarzkopf in the Bahamas. Such a great job with the interviews. And, of course, the mediocre Jay Horry is also joining us today to talk a little bit about Indiana basketball and their trip to the Bahamas. Gentlemen, glad to have you. I'm going to send it to Jay real quick and get your initial thoughts on today's game as well as the other game last Friday.
Hey, thanks, Coach. Hey, everybody. It's great to be with you guys. Good to see you, Chad. Yeah, it was another good performance. You know, I think there was definitely a little more struggles on offense. I think Trey struggled a little bit with his shot. Xavier had a really good game, even though he struggled shooting the ball a little bit. But it sounded like a really good defensive performance. A lot of energy on the defensive end. Didn't force as many turnovers as we did in the first game, but you love seeing that energy. Just those guys bringing the energy consistently in games that in the big scheme of things don't matter at all. So. Another good performance. Happy to have another win under our belt, and happy to talk about it with you guys.
And Chad, you're down there on site, recovered from just a great job on Friday. Your thoughts of today's Indiana Hoosiers 64-53 victory?
It was a good game. It was a tough game. It was a physical game. They got to see a lot more challenge, a lot more difficulties, a lot more things to fight through in this game. But that was really good to see. That was something that I was hoping for. I didn't want them to just go in and whoop on them on this game and everything. I wanted to have them have to fight through something and fight through some adversity. And fight they did have to do. It was a very physical game. It was as seen by the fact that we kind of had a slight injury during it. We'll see what the presses are and what comes out with it. But we're talking about Miller Kopp. It seemed like he turned an ankle or something there. He did come back. He just sat on the bench, had ice on it and everything. But the best thing to see from him being out there at that point was that he was talking to the team the rest of the time. He was the most vocal person on the bench when he was there with his ice on his ankle and everything like that. You could hear him shouting encouragements to the players that were on the court, just staying involved within the game. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully we can get him back out there. We definitely did miss him when he wasn't in there. But again, like I said, it was a very physical game. We even talked to the refs a little bit during a timeout, and they said they even commented on how physical and rough of a game it was and said this is not near anything that they're going to see in the Big Ten. This is more physical than what we know as Big Ten play. So it's good to see them get through that and fight through that. The one negative and scary thing I would say that a lot of us here maybe had a little PTSD with is kind of what I said in halftime, and Coach, you kind of asked about that, is the quality of shots that they got were pretty good, but they just wouldn't fall. They were just on the edge of falling, looked good, found good rotations, good screens, good movement to get to the ball where it needed to be, just didn't quite fall. And that's great to see, despite with us winning and everything, despite that. So I enjoy seeing the fact that we got through those struggles. I can only imagine if we are able to get those little dinky shots in, that what this team can do offensively and everything continuing forward.
So to recap for those, if you are just tuning in and didn't follow along with the box score or weren't in the Bahamas, Indiana led throughout the game for the most part, and Miller Kopp goes down early in the first half, and that's your probably best three-point shooter. Maybe not in the regular season as it turns out, but he hit three on Friday, and it just seemed like everyone had to make an adjustment real quick to the loss of Miller, because now all of a sudden you saw some 2-point guard lineups. And Mega made a run, and I think the closest they got was within one, and then Indiana stretched it out with some really good execution at the end of the first half, which was, again, another really solid thing to witness, and had a 37-30 lead at the half. And then the second half, it just seemed like a little bit more of the same, where the shots necessarily weren't falling, but Indiana got the lead at 7, 8, 9, and then double digits early about the 10, 11 minute mark, and didn't coast from there. Still had to play really well to win. but ended up winning by 11 down the stretch. So just a solid effort in 2 games in the Bahamas, and there's a lot of positives to think about today. They overcome some adversity with their leading scorer from Friday getting hurt. They can overcome some adversity with open shots not falling in. So a long way to go for, we can't get too excited over 2 wins, but a long way to go. Jay, I'm going to ask you, and there's probably a lot of things that we could answer this with, but what's the one takeaway that you have so far from this weekend's game for the Indiana Hoosiers?
Yeah, it's tough. So I go back and forth on this. The first, and I talked about this a lot in our happy hour last night, was Tamar Bates is really good. I mean, he's just a really good player. Getting him as a late addition to the roster when Woodson came aboard it's a huge pickup that's going to impact this team a lot moving forward. As we saw in both games, he comes in, immediately changes the game with his offense. I mean, he's a guy that you have to pay attention to, and he can knock down shots if you leave him alone. The other one is just the effort on defense, which I already touched on in the opening, but it seems like these guys have really bought into the ball pressure. Never letting the other team do anything easy on the defensive end. I know some people talked about they were even picking up a little bit 3/4 court just to give different looks to that offense, not let the offense get into their sets easily. So I'd say those 2 things are the things that really stood out to me so far.
Chad, if I were to throw that question your way, your major takeaway or something that you just really enjoyed this weekend with the Indiana Hoosiers? You're muted there, Chad.
Got to pull Orion. I wore that hat a couple episodes ago. Maybe it's still stuck in my brain somehow. Just echoing what you said, the Tamar Bates coming out party. How great he truly is. I mean, you never know when you get these high-ranked kids if their game is going to translate, especially in a system that's going to run more of a pro offense, and it could be a bigger learning curve and everything like that. And no learning curve needed for Tamar Bates. He's in there. He's ready to impact. He's be able to create his own shot. He's talking to all the guys. He's getting things moving. He is an impact player, and he is going to do some amazing things for this team. Go ahead.
Yeah, my main takeaway is the offensive pace. And I will talk about the defense later on. Obviously, I'm a defensive-minded person, but the clips that I saw and from you, Chad, and from another source that I was able to access, the pace of the offense, the dribble handoffs, the screen and rolls, the transition offense when it's there off their defense it's more what college basketball is, and you need players to run that. And I think Coach Woodson is in bringing in Miller Kopp and in bringing in Tamar Bates and then in improving the players that stuck around is able to play at a faster pace than maybe what the roster was available last year. But it's just going to be a lot more positive. And despite a rough shooting night, what I think was a rough shooting afternoon, Indiana was able to score 64 points. They get that shooting percentage up, a little bit.
Coach, I'm going to jump in on you real quick.
Sure.
I got Assembly Call. It's a podcast. There's over 100 Hoosiers that are watching. Couldn't come here, but they just want to know what do you think of the team? I know it's tough not to be able to play yourself and everything, but how do you think the guys did? What do you take away?
I think our team's looking really good together. I mean, we're a new team, but I feel like we're already meshing really well. Guys all like each other and know their roles, and everyone's doing what they need to do to win. For us to win.
Yeah. Were you itching to get out there? I mean, obviously, this team we were playing against, we could have used your size and your strength and everything. They were a big physical team. This game looked very physical. Do you think? Are you ready for that kind of physicality now, coming with the Big Ten coming up and everything?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been going against Trace for the past 2 months, so I kind of know what that's like. I really want to get out there, but Dr. Rink said want to give me some more time off, so.
I understand. So how's it going in practice? Are you able to get some up on him, or is he pretty much dominating you, or is it a little back and forth? Or
I smoke him.
You smoke him. All right. I won't tell him that. Thanks, man. Have a good year.
And hey, there's Chad doing what he does best, right? You can interrupt us in any time you want when you see someone. Just give us the signal, or just you wish you had those mute buttons for us. Just mute us and go ahead. But what a great. Coverage that we have from you. So we were just talking about takeaways. I'm going to add someone here to the show. Ryan, how you doing, bud?
What's up, everybody?
Summer basketball, and it's been such a long time since Indiana had a couple W's, and we're 2-0. So initial thoughts, and then be ready for Chad to interrupt you with the interview process. But your initial thoughts from this weekend for your Hoosiers.
I mean, it's hard to make much of a judgment without, actually watching the games. But I think one of the takeaways from things I've read from people who were there and from, reports coming out is just there just seems to be more energy around the team. And Chad can speak to that, obviously. It just seems like there's positivity and people talking about having fun. And I think emerging from what they've emerged from over the last few years, that's a huge indication. I mean, outside of the technical basketball stuff, and Coach, you've coached Summer League before, that you're not getting everything you want out of players, and you're not getting your offense, and you're not getting everything you want. And so there's really not going to be a whole lot of takeaways about, well, what did they run in the offense and how smooth was it and all that. It's more about you build players in the summer, you build teams in the fall as you build up to the season. And so it's more just about the players' attitude, and everybody seems to be having a blast. And I mean, that's probably, as Chad can also attest, it's probably hard to have a bad time in the Bahamas, but I think that it's a big indication that they're working hard, but it seems like they're actually enjoying what they're doing and having a good time.
Yeah, and we were talking about takeaways, and I said the offensive pace, and one of the things that's really impressive for me is Jordan Geronimo. I think he had 9 rebounds on Friday. He's hit a couple threes in transition. I think both of them were kick-out transition threes, and a couple blocks. And it seems like Woodson, that's Ryan, you're talking about developing that player. There is a player that came back that had minimal minutes last year that really, really looks to be an integral part of the program.
And remember, Coach, he was almost gone. I mean, he was one of the guys in the transfer portal. Everybody said, no, he's gone. He's going to go back home and all that. And they convinced him to stay. And you convince a guy to stay like that, you better use him. And I think that was probably why they worked so hard to bring him back, as they saw us a future in him. And I think we all have. I mean, he's a very athletic young man. He's got some skill. His form on his shot was never bad. It just seemed like he was overshooting and shooting too hard on everything and trying to launch balls instead of actually, feather him off his finger. But I think that we all saw tons of potential in that guy. And when you're that athletic, there's a lot you can do, and there's a lot you can be molded into.
Here it comes where I get to interrupt Ryan here. So I'm here with Scott Golson, guys, our AD. We had over 200 Hoosiers assembly call watching on, guys. So thank you. What are your takeaways, would you say, from the team and what you saw this weekend with these guys?
I'd say it was even better than we expected. It was everything. We just wanted to really get the team together, spend time away from Bloomington. Just really the games were even better than we thought. Just in terms of the fan support was incredible. It felt like, and you were obviously there, the atmosphere was unreal. And again, most importantly, I was just talking to Woody, just they accomplished everything they wanted to do. Really just see how far we'd come in the last 2 months. Really had great progress, and just felt really good about it. Really good.
All right. Great. Thank you, Scott.
Awesome. Great seeing you. Thanks.
All right.
That's just top notch right there, Chad. And Dolson's got to be happy because he made this hire. He made the decision to go a different direction. Yeah, heck yeah, he's happy. Jay, offense or defense, from what you watched on the box scores or however you saw what was going on, what might be the bright spot for you on those ends? Which one are you most happy with?
I mean, there was energy on both. I mean, it seemed from the videos I saw, IU was either, even on makes, they were taking the ball out quickly. I mean, they were getting the ball down the floor very quickly, getting into their offense as quickly as possible. And it seems like they turned defense into offense really well over the 2 games. I love the defensive pressure. I mean, we've had 3 or so years of wringing our hands about IU's defense and the different things we were or weren't doing. Just having, guys go out and really take pride.
All right, Jay, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you now, too. We got Jordan Geronimo again. Jordan, I just want to – I talked to you last time. This is Assembly Call podcast. There's over 100 Hoosiers watching right now. Wish they could be here and everything. They're very thankful for your effort and everything. I'm tweeting and telling them how aggressive you're playing, and they're loving that outside shot that's coming along. What was different in this game than what you think you saw in the first game?
Really – nothing much really was different. I guess just opportunity just comes different with each game, you know what I mean? And opportunities that came, I just took them, you know what I mean? So, you know, you give me opportunities, I'm going to take opportunities to just contribute to the team, be productive.
Yeah, we love that outside shot. That's getting a lot better, and I love that you have the confidence to do that. Do you feel like that's something you're going to keep contributing throughout the year?
For sure, yeah.
Sure, it's going along. Well, thanks, man. We'll catch you around as we go along. Hey, Michael, let me get you on this. We got Michael Durr here.
What's going on?
So, Michael, obviously you didn't get to play this weekend. It's tough not to get out there with everyone, but very physical team that we're playing against and everything. Hoosiers have seen a lot of great tape of you. There's a great Twitter account called Coach Adranya. He did a great breakdown of your play. We saw your great outside shot that you have, your physicality, your posting up. Tell them a little bit about your game and what you think you can bring to this Hoosier team.
I feel like I can bring a lot. You know, rebounding, scoring down low, picking pops, guarding the ball screen, a lot of things. I just can't wait to display it.
Yeah. We're excited to see you out there and everything. So what did you take from the team? What do you think you saw from your teammates this weekend and everything during the games?
What I saw was what I've been seeing the past 2 months. You know what I'm saying? We've been working for 2 months, so I didn't see nothing new. It's just nice to see us do it against someone else.
Yeah. They're a very physical team and a very big team, and you kind of know it. We won't tend to see teams like that in the college year as we go along, but it'll get a lot better, and we're excited to see you out there, man. You get better. Thanks, man.
Hey, Chad, we got instructions from Ground Zero. It's thousands of listeners.
Thousands. Thank you.
Thousands of listeners.
Thank you for updating.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Don't start talking for a second. Coach, do you mind if I catch you real quick? This is assembly call radio. There's thousands.
Oh boy, where's
thousands.
the coach? Where's the coach?
There you go. He knows you, Coach.
hey.
Coach you guys the other night.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
What do you think you learned? What did you see in the guys this weekend?
I learned we're a lot tougher than maybe I thought. More physical. We're really just trying to work on the guys learning to play as a team. Just communicate with each other. We use the term govern each other, govern yourselves, govern your team. Just bring some energy. And it starts with the best player down to the 13th. But I was really impressed with just how much we competed.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. There was a great moment where the team looked to Coach for an out-of-bounds play, and then Coach told X, you talk, you call it, and everything like that. Is that something that's preached, the more free-flowing offense for these guys, letting them make their decisions?
I'm not sure we ran it right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was the first I've seen. And it really is just empowering themselves to do what they do best, but we really need leadership among the players. And so it starts with guys like Xavier, Rob Finnessy. You know, point guards tend to be the natural leaders, where a guy like Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, you know, because they're our best players, tend to be anointed that. But we need a little of both, because when shit goes bad, excuse my language, it's a problem, and you've got to have guys on the court that can hold everybody together and make things happen.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, Coach.
Yeah, he doesn't mind it.
That's fine.
He says it's fine. He says it's fine. He doesn't matter. Well, thank you. We're excited to see the season, man.
Good to see you
Let's
guys.
get out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Man, this is good stuff right there.
Chad, our
Ryan.
new on-site reporter.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have a question for Chad? I thought you might.
Yeah, I was going to ask him, who surprised you the most in these two games?
I think it was X, Xavier Johnson. I mean, we kind of saw what he could do throughout his career at Pitt and everything. We weren't sure how it would translate to another team. There's obviously discussions of he's got a hot head and everything like that. How's he going to handle it? But he's definitely the playmaker, and to me, I believe he is our starting point guard. He's the one that's going to be able to lead this team, get them through everything. And it's kind of good that I'm talking about Xavier Johnson as he walks up here, so I could maybe get him on here. I got Assembly Call podcast. Trace, you got to stop and talk about him too. So there's over 1,000 Hoosiers watching this right now, guys. Wow. Guys that couldn't be here and everything. They wish they could be here and everything. So, X, talk about this weekend in these games.
This weekend we learned a lot. First game, I know I had a bad game. Went back to the drawing board, watched a little film. And my teammates constantly talking to me. I just kept my foot on the gas and just kept getting in the paint. And do what I do best, getting assists, talking about making plays and just playing defense.
Yeah, TJ, talk about this guy. What does he bring to the team?
Hey, this man runs the show.
He's our point guard. He's going to get downhill. He's going to get to the rim. He's going to throw lobs, get assists. He's going to get his teammates involved, and that's what we need out of him. Right now, this game was a great example of that.
Yeah. So this team seemed very physical, a lot more physical than what we're going to see in the Big Ten. Do you feel like that's true to say that, or?
Yeah, I thought the refs let us play a lot more today. There's a lot of shoving, a lot of on screens, especially in what are they called, rebounds, and I think that really helped us getting ready for the Big Ten because that's all it is.
Yeah, it's going to be physical like that, and their length. Their length was something obviously to deal with too.
It's hard to play 6'9", 6'10", 6'9", 6'6", 6'4". They got a huge team. I don't think there's a team like that.
Yeah, no, you're not going to run into that kind of athleticism. Well, thank you guys. We're excited to see the year go along. Have a good one, guys. Yeah, yes. Thank you. Tamar, you mind stopping real quick for a second? Tamar, so what do you take from this game that you didn't take from the first game? Did you learn something different, or did you feel like this game went a little different for you, or talk about it?
Well, for the team, I felt like they came out harder. We expected them to come out a little harder, play harder, just because we were a lot more physical last game. So, we expected to, take a punch from them, but I feel like we withstood that and we were able to dominate the second half.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can easily tell you that what we're hearing on Twitter and what we're even hearing from our analysts here, there's over 1,000 Hoosiers that are listening to this live right now, buddy, and they're very excited about you. We love the game that you bring to the Hoosiers. You're able to get there, get to the rim, get your own shot, get your basket, the energy, the enthusiasm. We love that, man. Let's keep it up. We'll see you this year. Eric, do you mind if I stop you real quick?
Congratulations, Eric. Good to see you out there, man.
This is
We're so proud of you.
got you here on an Assembly Call podcast. Got over 1,000 Hoosiers watching and listening along that couldn't come out here and everything. Tell me what you saw out of the Hoosiers.
Well, I see a lot of growth from last season. They're having a good start. It's good to have them have good, these 2 games early in the summer, and so they can, start gelling, vibing, and see how they're going to turn out this season.
Yeah, they're definitely playing a little bit more of an NBA offense. You got that 4 out, 1 in kind of situation, a more free flowing and everything. What did you see from the freshman, Tamar Bates? He's a very active guy, someone that's experienced being a very active shooting guard like him. What do you think of his game?
I do like his game. He just got to take every possession and go hard every single possession, and that's what it's about. Every time you touch the ball, it's like your world, and it's time to really get going, and he'll have a great year. And I think for the IU success, he have to be another guy that has to really have a big year. So
yeah, and speak a little bit about the current staff, the new staff, and everything. What you think about them and what they have going on?
Well, yeah, you can't have a better you can't find a better staff than that. You got guys that have been in the NBA for a very long time, and a mixture of other coaches that's been around for a long time with good schools that've been winning. So you can't find a better staff, and it's all about really the players getting over the hump, because I know the coaches, they'll get them to where they need to go and continue developing them. But these players, they just gotta. I told them after the game, don't waste these coaches' time, because they have enough experience and they know what it takes to get to where you want to go.
That's great. Thank you, Eric.
No problem.
Legend.
No.
Yeah.
How do you keep your composure with such a great, that was great.
I didn't think Coach was losing his composure the whole interview. I could see it from here.
Exactly.
Race, you mind if I steal you again real quick? Race, you're on Assembly Call again. We got over 1,000 Hoosiers watching this live back that couldn't be a part of this and everything. They're very excited to have it. You had an amazing game today. You're a lot more physical. This team seemed a lot more physical in this game compared to the last one. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, they came out pretty physical to start the game. We came to timeout. We talked about that before the game ended the first time. They were playing hard. They were playing really good. Better than they played in the last game. So we knew we had to step it up in another match. That was really all it was.
Okay. What do you take away the most from this weekend? What do you bring back? What do you think you learned about this team that you didn't think you saw?
Just the chemistry, man. Like, we just out there playing together. Like, a lot of us, we don't get to play with each other every day. Practice, we're playing against each other all the time. We had a couple injuries, so going against Trace every day, I don't really get to play with him as much. So really just like learning how to play with each other again and all that stuff. I think that's like the main thing.
Now, this team was a tall team as well. Was that difficult for you to get after? Did you did a lot of switching on some smaller guys and everything? Was that a challenge with their height and length? Or
I mean, It's similar to last year. I feel like I was undersized, and I played the 5 a lot last year. So I mean, it's not I'm not accustomed to. So
Yeah,
I'm always up for a challenge.
we're definitely excited to see you in that 4 position on that 4 out. You're handling it well, and I think that outside shot looks great. And so just keep shooting those, buddy. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Very good.
Well, I think we
Very
got the whole
good, Chad.
roster now.
Keep it up. And look at him. He's just spotting. His eyes are just all over the entryway there, the lobby there.
They were all coming. They were all coming at once too. So that was why I was having to be quick about it.
So while we're waiting for the next great interview from Chad, Jay, again, any thoughts of things that, let's say, something that this weekend you think might need to be improved upon? And again, it's hard to say without watching the actual games, but what do you think might have to get better for the Hoosiers?
Yeah, it's tough. And we didn't have a full team today, obviously, with 3 guys out and then Miller Kopp getting hurt at the start of the game. And just a quick update on that. We have a direct quote from Mike Woodson that's popped up on Twitter. When asked about Miller Kopp, Woodson said, "Shit, he'll be all right." So just so
gotta love Coach Wood.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more these guys play together, as Race mentioned, it's tough when you're playing against each other every day and you don't get the chance to actually play with your teammates. And so I think as these guys play together, they'll get a better flow on offense. They'll figure out, where things need to be, where people need to be, instead of having to think about every movement. You kind of just know where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to go. So I think, as they do that more, we'll get better ideas on what the rotations look like.
Hey guys, let me interrupt you real quick. Speaking of Miller Kopp, got next to him right here. Had a good game. The first game had a great start to the game. Then obviously it seems like you rolled something there or something. Yeah. How's it feel?
It feels good. I mean, I think it's just a rolled ankle. They're just being smart with it, and
exhibition game, no reason to chance it.
Yeah, we've got a long season ahead of us, and it is what it is. It sucks, but I'm just glad we won.
Yeah, and I have to admit, us Hoosier fans, we saw that leadership that you had, because even though you were on the bench, you were taped up and everything, you were definitely the vocal leader on the side there. You're always talk about that leadership that you bring and how you lead these guys.
It's not just me, it's everybody. That's the thing about it. Everybody on the team is, we take it all in from everybody on the team. Any advice, any criticism or whatever it may be, it's all just because we want to win. So it's not just me. It was hard for me at first coming out knowing that probably I was going to play the rest of the game and still be positive, but that's what good teammates do, and that's what good teams do. They have guys that are positive no matter what. So,
well, thank you for that. And I know all the fans that are watching this, we got hundreds, thousands of people actually watching this live right now. They're very excited. They love the access that you're giving them and everything, and your personality with the team and the fans. We appreciate that, man. Thank you.
There'll be a couple episodes coming out soon in the Bahamas, so be on the lookout for that.
There you go, guys. An exclusive episode's coming soon. Hey, get well, buddy.
Hey, that's good of Miller Kopp to know to plug. You got to plug after an appearance. That's always it's a smart college kid right there. Entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely. He's got that vlog going, and he's got to keep it going and build the brand. So, despite the injury, he's doing some really good things for himself. Ryan, your thoughts on what a trip like this means for a program, especially under a coach, a new coach. The wins are nice, but again, just share your thoughts about how important this was for Indiana to get those practices and then come down and have some success.
Well, it's huge, especially with the new staff and new players. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, we've been talking about these guys for a long time, but there's a lot of guys that are new, a ton of new players. And so to get them all sort of on the same page and sort of working together is a huge deal, and get that practice time in early. That's why this was smart. Travel together, build that chemistry by being isolated out of Bloomington together, in the Bahamas, where there's plenty of distractions, but you're there with your team, and it's
Hold on, Ryan, let me interrupt you real quick, Ryan. I've got a big player here. He wants to talk about his game and what he saw out there today.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. We just what we wanted to accomplish. We just came in here and we wanted to show that we were tough.
Ask
we
him
wanted
those
to show that we
3-point
had
shooting,
some togetherness. We wanted to execute the offense that the coaches have been giving us. We wanted to play tough defense. I'm just, my teammates picked me up when I was down. I picked them up when they were down. That's just what we did. That's what our goal was. It's what we set out to do. And now it's time to go to the casino and let it all ride.
So Ryan wants to know about your
Put it on
3-point
red.
shot. How is that looking?
You know what? It's getting better. It's a work in progress. You know what? Like you guys in the cheap seats over there talking about how easy it is to make these 3-pointers, just talking into a microphone all day. I'm out there in the arena jacking up 1,000 shots a day, and it's not easy. So it's just a work in progress, just like, just like a podcast. Just like a podcast. It's a work in progress.
All right. Later, Matty. I had to do that.
Yeah. That was Eric from Hoosier Hysterics for people who don't know, and he's been documenting his trip just like Chad.
So, Chad, share the atmosphere again. Game 1 seemed to be pretty good with the IU fans. Again, a nice contingent of Indiana Hoosiers was in the Bahamas. How do you feel after 2 games of being in the lobby and seeing players and all that from your perspective?
Yeah, the energy is still very high. The excitement's still really there. Everyone's very excited for this team and what's going on, and to get to see them, get to be the select few that gets to see into the window of what this team is going to be and what they can show for right now, at least in limited competition that they have. So yeah, it's exciting. There's still that high energy. And again, this is calling out fans that couldn't come here, but are in Bloomington. Buy those tickets, be there, cheer on these guys, because they're definitely going to feed off that energy. With them having fun, with them being those types of players that are high energy, that are playing a high energy offense and a quick offense, they're going to need that pump of energy and feel that from Assembly Hall. So we've got to get in there. We've got to pack it. You've got to be loud this year.
Yeah, and that's something that, fans being back in the stands, and it's planning to be that way. Let's hope that it continues into November where we have fans back in the stands. There's just so much excitement right now, Jay, about the Indiana Hoosier basketball program. Coach Woodson, since he's been here, there have been maybe a few bumps in the road that we might not even know about, but it seems like everything that he has done, from hiring staff to recruiting his own players back, and this just another notch for him, a successful trip to the Bahamas.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard to you almost forget about how bad things were if you think back to March. That was 5 months ago. And I know. I towards the end of this last season, I kind of checked out a little bit. I mean, it was just hard to put yourself through that every game. And now 5 months down the road, we've done a complete 180 on it. As Chad said, the enthusiasm around the program is back. Seems like the players have bought in. Seems like they really enjoy playing with each other. They enjoy hanging out together. It's Trace, I think, after the game said they're already a brotherhood. So it's great. It seems like the program's in a much better place than it was 5 months ago. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm just really excited to see where the season goes.
Ryan, I'm going to throw a question. You weren't able to be with us Thursday night, but Coach Woodson had some media availability before the trip, and he was talking about trying to find 10 guys for his rotation. Your thoughts on a 10-man rotation for college, pluses, maybe minuses of doing that? And do you think this roster has that capability to play well playing 10 players?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a deep roster, and we've talked about how are they going to fit everybody in, because there's guys who transferred in, there's guys who committed, there's guys who were supposed to be here, guys who could have left but decided to stay. I mean, so there are guys you have to please, and so a 10-man roster, look, a 10-man roster is pretty normal in the NBA. You have 2 units, you have first unit, second unit, essentially, and they mix and match guys, and they'll tighten the rotation as the game gets later. But that's not out of bounds for an NBA team. Now, do I think that maybe later in the season you tighten it to 8 or something like that? Yeah, but to start the season, a 10-man rotation isn't that out of bounds, especially with the way, with so many more games now than they had 10 years ago. You don't want guys to wear down. You want to get into a 10-man rotation because you get guys playing, and then, if somebody gets hurt, you've got guys who are used to playing. You're not bringing somebody off the bench who hasn't played in 3 weeks, So I get that decision. I mean, he's going to bring NBA concepts and he's going to bring an NBA attitude to it. And that's a natural thing at the next level. So we'll see how it translates. We'll see how it works. I get the thinking behind it. But we'll see how it actually translates to the floor and to the season as it comes up.
Let's talk a little bit more about this game, and we'll go around the horn here a little bit. As again, Chad was there to watch it. The rest of us might have seen the box score or whatever, but a lot of talk about the defense and the concepts. Until we see the game film, at least for me, I'm not quite sure, where they're forcing the ball, what they're doing. I did get to see some extra clips, and this on a string that was mentioned in an interview yesterday, but it was a good team defense. It's stopping the ball. The thing I like is it's a little more aggressive. In game one, turned Mega over and got easy baskets and were able to score. In game two, the turnovers for Mega didn't happen, but the shooting percentage dropped, which speaks volumes to me of why Coach Woodson emphasize defense, because you can win in multiple ways defensively. And if the defense is consistent when your offensive shot is off, you have a chance to win games. So, Chad, you were there. Share with us your just thoughts on what you saw defensively, either a strategy or just an execution that you saw live.
What I liked a lot about what I saw with the defense was the help on the defense. This team was really that we played against was really a team that liked to drive and kick, and we often ran into situations where guys were having to rotate off and rotate to the next guy. And there was one play in specific where basically it got kicked to the left side baseline to a guy. One person recovered. Then it started to get thrown around the circle through 4 passes. Each guy recovered, which led to Trey Galloway having to be the last man to step up, and his man on the opposite baseline ended up trying to drive, and Trey was able to draw the charge. So there's a lot of good talk. There's a lot of good help that's going on this defense, and just a general more physicality. Just being up in, especially from whoever's guarding the point guard or the shooting guard, just being up in the faces. I think a lot of that is to Parker Stewart's credit. He is a very elite defender, and we're going to see a lot of good stuff, I believe, out of him. But yeah, just overall scheme and everything. I don't know if we can take too much from this game again, just because this was such a unique sized team that I think a few of the deficiencies that may have happened in this game play is something that we're not going to see in regular season play from this team.
Jay, some statistic that stood out from you on a defensive standpoint from these two games?
I mean, I think it's steals and blocks. I mean, the ton of steals the first game. I think Geronimo had 3 blocks today. You can just tell that they're contesting shots. And they're not giving away anything easy at the rim. As Chad said, they seem to be recovering really well on ball rotations. They're playing a lot of passing lanes, creating a lot of steals. That's one of the things that I noticed about our starting lineup is that you have Xavier at 6'3", 6'4". You got Parker Stewart, who's that 6'5", 6'6". You got Miller Kopp, the same height. You got Race. You got Trace. That's a lot of length to play in passing lanes, and so I think the ability of the new guys, especially, to do that, it's going to be really helpful on the defensive end moving forward.
Yeah. How about this one, guys? How about this one? Only 6 turnovers today. I mean, yeah. And they forced in the 2 games. They forced 40. In 2 games, so 27 in the first game, which is a ridiculous number, by the way. And I think that there's some, probably some rust from the other team led to that. But 13 today and to only turn it over 6 times. I mean, those are numbers worth, celebrating.
With the pace of play too.
Yeah, they want to aim
really
for 12.
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely took care of it. Well, I just wanted to hop in real quick on what Jay was saying about jumping the pass lines, and we definitely saw that a lot. Guys with very active hands, and this team also was trying to lob it over the top with us too. And Trace Jackson-Davis had a beautiful, I've never seen him get up so high, reach up on a lob where they were trying to lob it over him to his guy, and he intercepted that. And then another really amazing play was when the opposing team had a chance on a breakaway. You had Tamar Bates, who was recovering on the second man that was following up behind him. and he didn't get fully back like he could have. He had the speed, he had the athleticism over this guy to get ahead of him and get around and get goal side, but or basket side. But he has the basketball knowledge on defense and everything. He held back a little bit because he knew that ball was going to him. And right in the right time, he stepped in front and received that pass and took it back the other way. So there's a lot more higher thinking with this team rather than just the fundamentals. I feel like they're also just being in the moment defensively and reacting and luckily making those right choices.
We'll talk more about defense. Right now, I'm going to turn the subject to Christian Lander, but on the defensive front, from what
Coach,
I saw,
Coach, I got one thing for you. So we just got word that IU will open the regular season November 9th against Eastern Michigan. So we have the official date, the home opener now, and that's from,
Tuesday.
Yep. So we have an official date.
But going back to the defense, they were switching some ball screens, and from what I saw in a few clips and the extra clips that I saw, but they were still in somewhat of a pack line help situation. I know everyone hates to hear that, but it's pack line's just it's not really assistance, just where you place the help. They were chasing some off staggered doubles. They were trying to deny the best player, that 6'10" guy, but they were also off in the lane and really concentrating on the ball. And it's just about execution. It's the same thing as offense. Coach Woodson has freed these guys up to be more active and get more deflections. But Ryan, this question comes to you. Christian Lander only plays 2 minutes in an exhibition, and I know there's 3 point guards. I was thinking that there would be a little more run, and if he is the third point guard, maybe give him even a little more run just in the exhibition, because he's not going to get that when November 9th starts, if that's where he ends up. Your thoughts on the limited minutes, and Jared had mentioned this on Thursday, that how is Coach Woodson going to play it? He played it like regular season games, not just putting lineups in to get on film. I thought he played it a lot like a regular season game, and so that speaks for Woody wanting to get this thing moving and taking everything game like. But just your thoughts on Christian Lander's limited minutes in the first 2 games.
Well, in this game, he played about as much as the walk-ons. And that's an indication that something's up there, that he's not developing maybe the way that they want him to, or that maybe they just don't have confidence in him yet. He's still exceptionally young. I mean, let's not forget that. He's still very young, and he did reclassify last year, all of that. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with his development. We don't get to see that. We don't get to be behind the curtain, but this is a 5-star point guard who in the summer before his second season can't get on the court. And the question then has to be, okay, is this just more development process that needs to happen? Is this genuinely how Mike Woodson views him as a player, that he's that far down the bench? Is there a projection where by midseason maybe he's playing more? I mean, we don't know. But at the same time, it's a little alarming when the guy that was such a ballyhooed recruit is not really playing very much, is off the end of the bench, essentially. That's worth examining, I think, especially with other guys getting so much more playing time at his position. Where is the development going to come? Because guess what? You can develop as much as you want off the court. A lot of that development happens when you're playing in games. And that's where you figure out your mistakes, and you run, real action and against real opponents, and you start to discover what you can do, what you can't do, where you need to improve, all that. Playing against your teammates in practice, only so much can get better. And so I think that either Christian Lander probably needs to take a big jump over the next few months to get more playing time. Because I think in a regular season game, given 2 minutes and 52 seconds, he's not playing in the regular season game. I mean, this was especially, Miller Kopp was out, there was another slot opened up by that. I mean, so it really feels like, he needs to find something in the next couple months to be playing when the season kicks off.
Jay, any thoughts about the limited access to playing time we saw Christian Lander?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to draw too many conclusions. I mean, there could be stuff behind the scenes we don't know about. He could be banged up. I mean, we don't really know what's going on. As long as he's staying positive about it, then, I'm not going to be too critical about playing time in 2 exhibition games in the middle of August. He has until November to really make his impact on this team. And who knows? I mean, like I said, he's still a young kid. I think he's still 18 years old. He's playing behind two guys that are 22, 23 years old, or 21, 22 years old. So that are, much more physically developed than he is, that obviously have a lot more experience at the college basketball level than he does. So I don't want to draw any, sweeping conclusions about Christian. We know he's an incredibly talented kid. And if he's putting in the work, I think he'll be a contributor to this roster.
Chad, you were down there and could see some of the stuff that he did on the court in limited time. Anything for us about Christian?
Well, it's like we kind of talked about earlier. We went into this game expecting to see him kind of how we did in the first game. See him kind of catch up those last few minutes of the first half, and that was kind of really when the team was struggling. And if he is truly earmarked more as a point guard for this team, that was an extended period of time when Rob was in there and when it was struggling. So X had to go right in and kind of rewrite the ship to a degree. And it is clear after watching these two games that X is going to be our starting point guard. He is the point guard for this team. And so I think just the situation of the game kind of took away a few of those minutes that he would have probably gotten in the first half. And then he got in there at the end. It was kind of a bummer how late it was in the second half, but he did kind of show what he can do and scored again 4 points like he did. And it's almost an exact same story of how I would characterize his first game, where he was able to show that he can get downhill and make his own shot. That's kind of how he got those 2 points. And I don't know. We'll see. I think like I said, it's clear that X is the starter and that Rob is the backup point guard right now as it stands. And like you said, maybe he needs to redefine himself or find something, and maybe he finds a little bit more play time, more as a two or something like that. But we'll just have to see as the season goes along. But that is the case of what we saw here.
Here's the thing. I just think, and I hope that everyone just trusts Coach Woodson. And he's in his honeymoon phase right now, where everyone loves everything that he's doing. So there's no reason not to trust him. He's seeing him in practice, and you earn playing time in practice, and you earn it by being better than the guys that you're competing against. I just thought they might go two point guards at some time, but I don't think. I think in these rotations, that'll be only in the case of injuries or anything. But the other thing that I really like about what's going on is it seems Coach Woodson is just an honest communicator. And when you have a situation where you have an outstanding young man, 5-star guy who is really, hyped up coming in, and if you're not going to play him, you need to talk to him. And I trust Coach Woodson to have these conversations with him. And sometimes it's just the tough, controversial, candid conversations you have to have. I really trust Coach Woodson to have those. And it could be a situation that one or two of the point guards might not elect to come back for that extra COVID year that they have available too. And then it could be his show. And the one thing that Coach Woodson has going for him is that experience in the NBA. And he could say to any young man, hey, if you want to make it, here's what you need to do. And it might just be a year of watching and listening and learning. And then when these guys move on, you're going to need a year or two before you're really ready to go and do anything professionally. But you're listening to the Assembly Call postgame show, where Indiana concludes their Bahamas trip with a 64-53 win over Mega, and it just couldn't be any better. I mean, Jay checked out, Ryan and I and the guys doing the postgame shows kind of wish we were with Jay at times, when it just got old talking about loss after loss at the end of the year. And it's been a pretty fun off season with the changes. And now we have the November 9th opening night on a Tuesday night. I believe they play also on the 12th. So a couple of games early in November. Chad, what happens now? When are you and your dad taking off? Are you going to hang around and try to see some more IU fans and players, or what's your agenda?
We got all of today. We leave tomorrow. About everyone's leaving tomorrow, as I've talked to most of the fans and stuff. I'm guessing the players, it would be the same. But yeah, we're just excited to celebrate and be out here like we are with all these fans and everything. And I'm going to get going here in a minute, so I'll finish with my final thoughts on this. And
Sure.
I think the biggest thing that you've kind of learned and take from this is that Mike Woodson was the right hire, guys. This staff, this everything, it's heading in the right direction. Things are going great. Everything that he said he wanted to do, the 4 out, 1 in, that's happening. The free NBA offense, that's happening. Being aggressive on defense and everything, that's happening. The thing that's also really exciting to see is just all the coaching that he's been doing and everything. And on this game, it was a lot more on show as well. Like I said, I already told you that he was talking to X, telling him, you got to talk, you got this kind of thing, letting him call the play. Thank you, the managers walking by. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And then also just other times, there was a time on offense when he called an out of bounds play, and both Trace and Race were supposed to set 2 screens on one of the guards going around, and that kind of fell apart. Those screens didn't work or anything, so there was a turnover there, I believe. And on the way back, Trace was kind of looking at Coach like what happened or something like that, and Coach said to him, touch somebody. That was not a screen. Set a body, touch someone. You got to touch someone. And then Trace kind of, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, Coach, and everything like that. So he's getting those coaching moments in. And then later on in the second half, there was a moment where the players handed the ball. I think it was Rob handed the ball off to Trace up top. And then both him, Rob, and Parker Stewart just kind of stood there for a minute. And Woody immediately yelling at them, you got to cut. You got to cut. And both of them immediately made their cuts around and everything like that. And the offense got better. That opened up the space and everything. And it looked, and I believe they scored on that possession. And I just triggered something in my head too. Space. Space has been the big thing that you see. This offense has space, guys. Take a breath, Hoosiers. There is space in the offense. There's room for Trace to work. There's room for guys to move around and everything. That's the biggest thing that we've been seeing. And it's very exciting. So again, I'm going to reiterate what I said again. Buy your tickets, guys. Go out, support these guys, because this is a great team. This is an energetic team. This is a fantastic team to listen to. They're talking to each other. They're loving playing with each other. So thank you, guys. Go Hoosiers.
Well, Chad, on behalf of all of us here at the Assembly Call, all of the people in the chat mob, job well done on Grab Everyone and interviews. These 2 shows now are going to be really hard to follow up in the regular season, but we appreciate it. And again, it's always a good time to be with your dad on a trip like this. That this will be a memory for you, and we're glad to have you be a part of it. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Guys, Venmo Chad some drinking money if you want to. Chad Schwarzkopf on there. Look at he got some the other night. I'm sure he spent it all at the casino, but he and his dad are there. Send him a little love.
Do you have to claim that on your taxes?
I don't know. I don't think so. Don't say it. Quit saying it on tape there, Coach.
Yeah, what are you doing,
All right.
Coach?
Thanks, guys.
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
See you.
Later, Chad.
Well, let's wrap it up now that the star is going. Our numbers are going to fall off crazy since there's not going to be any more interviews. But let's just go around the horn. Jay first, and then Ryan, and then I'll sum up your thoughts of this whole Bahama experience for the Indiana Hoosiers.
It was a great experience. I mean, I think you got more out of this than they could have hoped for. It seems like the team's coming along really well. The guys enjoy playing with each other, and they faced some good tough competition. Guys that are big, physical. I think it's a good indication of what we can expect from this team moving forward. And just one more thing on Lander, I just want to touch on it. Woodson said that they've been focusing a ton on the defensive end. And playing a team like this that has guys that are all 6'4" and above, it might just not have been the best time for him. Woodson might have been focused on getting some of the better defensive lineups on the floor. And so, maybe Christian's just a little bit behind, some of the more experienced guys. So I just want to be careful with, trying to draw any major conclusions about where Lander might be in the scheme of things moving forward. But all in all, great trip. Thanks again to Chad for doing an incredible job of getting guys in these on these post-game shows. And hey, looking forward to the season.
Ryan, thoughts about the Indiana Hoosiers after a successful trip to the Bahamas?
Yeah, I think it was a successful trip. And I think the point of this trip was, it wasn't even about winning the games. It was about getting the team together outside of Bloomington, get them, isolated and let them have some experiences and grow some chemistry. And then, play on the court together against somebody else other than yourself, because that, again, is, as Trace said on our show, it sort of, builds that, or I mean, it was Race, I'm sorry, said that, it just sort of builds that. It's different because you're going up against each other. You're not going up against each other. You're playing with each other. And I think that it's a successful trip mostly because they got to do that, and they got to be coached in a real game by their coaches for the first time. They got to play with everybody on the same team, at the same time. And then, of course, to come away with 2 double-digit wins against a European professional team that has a future lottery pick on it. That you can't do worse. You can't do better than that. I mean, there's nothing bad about that. I think that, we're starting to see maybe what the rotation's going to be, a little, get some hints of what the rotation's going to be. But mostly this was about building a team and building these players to a certain level. And then, starting that chemistry build that you typically do throughout the fall, getting these guys to really play with and trust each other. And I think that was perfectly accomplished.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You mentioned summer ball earlier in the show, Ryan. You don't play your best in the summer. Indiana won 2 games. There was a lot of good things, a lot of individual players that did things that we talked about. But if you really go back and watch these 2 games on tape, it's not going to be a really good film to watch. And the exciting thing is you won 2 games. You scored 79 points, scored 64, played excellent defense, didn't turn the ball over. And I'm sure Coach Fife, if you're watching this, you're not going to be happy with a lot of what's on film as we are with our high school program early on in the season. And you want to be playing your best ball in March. But boy, does Indiana have a head start on that now. And you can go back and watch film and then put stuff into practice. Practice gets started here late September that you need to work on. And it got a bunch of new guys with the new coaching staff in game situations. And to come out with 2 wins and have a lot of success happen despite maybe the execution, the rotations on defense, or a block out here, or a lack of execution, as Chad said, on a screen on an out-of-bounds play. There's going to be a ton of those mishaps that Coach Fife and Coach Woodson are going to find on tape, and then you go and you clean up. And now's when the real learning goes. But I will tell all of our Hoosier fans and Chatmob fans that, I don't think this team played well. But they did a lot of good things. And if they could play like this when they don't play well, and I'm not trying to be Debbie the Downer, I'm just trying to say how excited I am, because if you have this kind of activity early in a program, I think that just speaks volumes for what they've done for 2.5 months and what they're going to do once practice comes. I just think it's an outstanding start for Coach Woodson and staff and the Indiana Hoosiers, and very, very pleased with this trip. So that's going to do it for our post-game show, where Indiana wins 64-53, 2-0 in the exhibition season on the year. Thanks to everyone for checking in. Thanks to our sponsors, Bob Thompson. We went no script, so I'm just, riffing here. Thanks to everyone. Chad, behave yourself tonight, and we'll be back with Assembly Call Radio on Thursday.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. You might get beat today, but each day you got to get better.
All right, good show. I need to take, and I was out a little late last night concert.
Chad threw out his back carrying that show.
Man. Oh, goodness gracious.
Special Bahamas correspondent. Unfortunately, he's out of a job now because they got to come back.
I told Jared I'm going to negotiate for being down in Bloomington just to catch guys as they, try to go back to their apartment or something.
Just stand outside the apartment. Simply call.
Yeah.
Simply call. Anybody want to talk?
We have hundreds, no thousands, maybe 400. I think the actual live number was 450, but thousands of listeners. We do have thousands of listeners by the time everyone we get it to the post game show.
By the time you add it all up,
add it all up with YouTube visits and everything. So
Well, I'll be in the Bahamas next week, so I'll just go in around, like, just interview random people for the.
Do it for sure.
Thursday night, just interview random people. Yeah,
find out what's going on in that ballroom. It's
that'll be great. So, all right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Good start to your week, and keep rooting on those Hoosiers. We'll see you Thursday night.
Good to see you guys.
So long.